In this Pathfinder Kingmaker guide, we'll take a look at Jaethal, an undead elf. She is a standard Inquisitor, a divine caster class with lots of versatility. This build will, however, focus on the simplest of routes, that is using 20 levels of Inquisitor and impersonating the Grim Reaper with a scythe as our preferred weapon. Because Jaethal is undead, she has different features, which includes being able to heal from negative energy spells such as Inflict Wounds, while taking damage from positive energy spells like Cure Wounds. This build guide is aimed for beginners and for anyone else that needs their memory refreshed regarding certain mechanics. This build focuses on melee combat and the many buffs Inquisitors have at their disposal that can benefit themselves and allies either through feats or spells. Although not as good as some other classes DPS-wise, we can work around it a bit by choosing DPS-oriented feats. Before we delve into feat choices, however, let us have a look at which abilities Inquisitors get automatically. Stern Gaze received morale bonus on all intimidation and perception checks equal to half of her level. Death Domain received Bleeding Touch at level 1 and Death Embrace passive at level 8 that prevents her from being damaged by positive energy and lets her heal from channeled negative energy. Judgment adds bonuses to offense and defense depending on which one you choose. These bonuses last until the end of combat. At level 8 you can use 2 judgments at once, and at level 16 that number rises to 3. Undying raises her back after combat ends with a small portion of her health if she falls in battle. Cunning Initiative level 2 adds Wisdom modifier to initiative checks. Solo Tactics level 3, an amazing feat that lets Inquisitors benefit from teamwork feats even if the adjacent ally does not have the same teamwork feat. To get bonuses from teamwork feats, simply have an ally positioned adjacently to you. Bane level 5 adds 4 to 24 damage and adds +2 to weapon enchantment against certain foes. Stalwart level 11 makes every attack targeting will and fortitude that usually does half damage on a successful saving throw do no damage instead. This does not work if you're wearing heavy armor. True Judgment level 20. When this ability is selected, your next attack can insta-kill an enemy if they fail a fortitude roll. This attack needs to hit first for True Judgment to activate the fortitude roll. It can be used only once on the same creature. This ability is very useful versus enemies with low fortitude such as mages and archers usually. Jaethal has a balanced attribute spread that makes her great for multiclassing. For the purposes of making this build as simple and effective as possible, we will add all our additional points to strength to get more bonuses to damage and attack rolls. If you want, you can also add 1 point to intelligence at the 4th level to receive additional skill points and put the rest into strength. Wisdom is important for offensive spells and to have more spells available to cast per day, but in this build we are focusing our efforts on melee combat, not spellcasting. She already has +3 from Wisdom, which is enough, and it helps to hit with True Judgment because it adds Wisdom modifier to its attack roll. Due to the Stern Gaze feat, I would recommend pumping points into Persuasion and Perception, which can help a lot in conversations as well as to spot traps, enemies, and other hidden things. Persuasion is especially important if you take the Dazzling Display feat. Mobility is always a good choice for melee characters in order to prevent attacks of opportunity while running around. Jaethal has bonuses to Lore Religion and Knowledge Arcana, so it would be wise to level those as well. Inquisitors get an extra teamwork feat every 3 levels, and all of those bonuses add up, making Inquisitors quite powerful when adjacent to an ally. When leveling up Jaethal, focus on choosing normal feats as there are not many great ones for this build outside of these. As for which to choose, we are going to pick everything that can help us to improve her DPS. I have included Vital Strike, but it seems to be bugged, causing it not to trigger at all. This is expected to be fixed in a future patch, but if you do not feel like dealing with Vital Strike, go for Extra Bane and Dodge. Important feats: Cleave and Great Cleave. Upon hitting an enemy, you make additional attacks against adjacent enemies. Great Cleave upgrades it so that you can strike multiple adjacent enemies with a single cleave. Vital Strike and Improved Strike. Unfortunately, this is bugged currently and it seems to never happen. It should double the damage from a single strike, while Improved Vital Strike should triple it. Once it is patched, it will be useful. Cleaving Finish and Improved Cleaving Finish. Upon killing an enemy with a standard melee attack, you can make additional attacks against enemies within reach. This is automatic. Weapon Focus Scythe adds 1 to attack rolls with Scythe. Improved Critical Scythe increases crit range with Scythe from 20 to 19 to 20. Power Attack, +2 damage and -1 to attack roll, increases bonus damage by 50% if wielding a two-handed weapon, which we are. Combat Reflexes increases the amount of times you can perform attacks of opportunity based on your Dex modifier, which is in our case +2. Outflank, +4 to attack roll when attacking the same enemy as your adjacent ally. Scoring critical hits gives your ally an attack of opportunity against that same enemy. Precise Strike adds 1 to 6 damage when hitting the same enemy as your ally. Seize the Moment. When adjacent ally confirms critical hit against an enemy, you get an attack of opportunity against that same enemy. Back to back, +2 to armor class against an enemy that is flanking you. Inquisitors have a wide variety of spells, but with this build we are going to stick with buffing and helpful team spells. Offensive spells will not be as good with this build because we are focused on melee combat anyway, which requires a different feat and attribute spread. Here are my choices, but feel free to add whatever you want if you feel like it would be beneficial for your build. With these spells you can buff yourself and allies, remove negative status effects, heal yourself, and do damage with harm, which always does at least half of the maximum damage even on a successful will saving throw. Some of the buffing spells will overwrite themselves, but you will still keep some bonuses. You should always cast before combat starts Freedom of Movement, Spell Resistance, Stone Skin, Heroism, Divine Power, and Righteous Might. That will increase your damage and survivability dramatically. Stone Skin requires Diamond Dust to be cast, which can be purchased from clerics at the capital. Dispel Magic is amazing because it removes beneficial effects such as concealment from enemies, making them much easy targets. Scythe is the favored weapon of Jaethal's deity, and it fits the Grim Reaper theme. Deity-favored weapons do not add any bonus to attack rolls or damage while using said weapon, but you do get automatic proficiency with it. Scythe has an insane critical hit modifier of ×4, meaning if you hit, the enemy dies in most cases. Problem is that it has 20 as its crit range, meaning it doesn't crit as often as you'd like. However, this can be improved to both 19 and 20 rolls with the improved critical Scythe feat. The Scythe is optional and can be switched for other two-hand weapons. Strength is our primary attribute, so something like Belt of Giant Strength is a perfect choice because it stacks with Righteous Might bonuses. Adding any item or buff that increases Wisdom is also a good choice because the Wisdom modifier is added to True Judgment. Armor should be the best medium armor you can get. Arcane Spell Failure does not affect Jaethal because Inquisitors are Divine Casters, and armor check penalty is not that detrimental. Medium armor offers a good amount of armor class without restricting her too much. This build makes Jaethal a really good melee Inquisitor due to buffs and teamwork bonuses. Jaethal should always be positioned adjacent to any melee ally so that she can get bonuses from any teamwork feat she has thanks to solo tactics. Before a fight, buff her with spells like Resist Energy, Freedom of Movement, Spell Resistance, Stone Skin, Heroism, Divine Power, Righteous Might, and Divine Favor. When the fight starts, activate Judgment's Justice, Destruction, Smite, and Bane. Justice is the best judgment for this build because it adds +1 sacred bonus to all attack rolls, up to 5 at level 20, and at level 10 this bonus is double for confirming critical hits. If you are level 20, do not forget to activate True Judgment to insta-kill enemies. Note that any judgment needs to be activated in order to use True Judgment. After the lengthy buffing and activating of all necessary bonuses at the beginning of the fight, it is time to position yourself next to an ally and start killing everything. There are many on-hit and on-kill bonuses like additional attacks through Cleaving Finish, but to simplify everything, use Cleave versus groups of enemies that are adjacent to one another, and use a standard attack against one enemy. It would be wise to cast Harm on any enemy since it does a lot of damage even if the enemy succeeds at a saving throw, which they most likely will. After the fight, Restoration, remove negative effects, and healing spells come into play to get the party back up to healthy status. More Pathfinder Kingmaker content is coming soon, including more build guides for each companion, so stay tuned. You may also be interested in our beginner guide, which is also here on our channel.